All right, we got some news for the Florida State Seminoles. Look, obviously, this is a team working to build for a big time 2024. They kind of had a big leap year in 2023, didn't end the way everyone really hoped for, unfortunately, due to the injuries and some, I'll say, interesting decisions by the College Football Playoff Committee. But that's the past. We'll focus on the future. Mike Norvell, head man at Florida State, has had one heck of an offseason, but he recently made a really smart, under the radar hire addition to the coaching staff. And I think it has a chance to have a big impact for Florida State. Let's get into the report, then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is from Tomahawk Nation. A familiar face is coming back to Tallahassee to assist the Seminoles in their climb. Rick Stockstill, a quarterback under Bobby Bowden from 1977 to 1981, has been hired as the director of scouting for offensive analysts for the Florida State football program. Stockstill roamed the sidelines as head coach at Middle Tennessee State from 2006 to 2023, really long time there, accumulating a career record of 113 and 111. He was named the Sun Belt Coach of the Year 3 times. In 2022, Stockstill's Blue Raiders notably eviscerated the then 25th ranked Miami Hurricanes in Miami. The 45-31 victory was the first time MTSU had ever beaten a top 25 team. Prior to his time in Murfreesboro, he spent 2 seasons with the South Carolina Gamecocks and 13 seasons with the Clemson Tigers. Stockstill was inducted into the Florida State Hall of Fame in 2019. All right, why is this big? It's important to understand that in any major program, you have the head coach, and we all kind of see him as the visible face, and like he's the guy making all the decisions, he's the guy running the show. But these head coaches at programs like Florida State, these blue bloods, these massive programs, they're basically like CEOs of massive corporations. They're pulled in a bunch of different directions all the time, whether it's going for recruits, transfers, speaking engagements, whining and dining boosters, right? And then, of course, actually, game plan assisting, evaluating roster decisions, things like that. They're pulled in a million different directions all the time. Sometimes, and I would argue more often than not, these big time programs need smart, elite level coaches to be in the weeds, focusing on the film evaluations, developing talent, going deep into the film, going deep into different prospects, whether they're recruits or transfers, really focusing on the nitty gritty. And one of the things Nick Saban, I think, pioneered in Alabama when he was the head coach of the Crimson Tide is he would take quality former coaches in the form of head coaches, bring them in as analysts to help with the nitty gritty while he was doing all the high level stuff. And that gave Alabama a huge advantage. I think a move like this has the chance to give Florida State a big advantage because remember, as smart a guy as Norvell is and as great a coach as he's proven himself to be, when you're the head coach at Florida State, it's like being the chairman of a board of a Fortune 500 company. You got a lot of things going on. Sometimes you need a smart engineer or a smart salesperson in your company. Sometimes you need a smart analyst right here to kind of dig through the weeds, focus on the low level, and try and find every advantage you can to help you win big games. I think this has a chance to be a kind of under the radar, but big time addition to the Florida State Seminoles program. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this move. But first, Florida State fans, obviously, Florida State, as they do every offseason, it feels like they're in the headlines for making a lot of new additions to the program. In the comment section below, give us your favorite new addition to Florida State. Recruit, transfer, coaching staff addition, whatever it may be. Give us your favorite new Florida State Seminole and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, let me throw it over to you now. What do you think of this move by Florida State and just the entire direction of the Seminoles program right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think this has been a trend in college football a little bit lately. Most notably, you look at Southern Cal, especially on that defensive side of the ball. They've had a lot of really, really vast coaching knowledge to that side of the ball. Notably, they got like head coach from North Dakota State over there. They have a really well-rounded group of head coaches on that defensive side of the ball. And that's something that they kind of had a problem with, something that they're trying to fix. Like you said, Norvell, he comes in, Florida State, really great team. What are they losing? A really big weapon on the offensive side of the ball. The quarterback gone. He's not going to be back next season. They're going to have to regroup a little bit. They got a lot of great offensive weapons as far as the wide receiver group and everything goes, but you're going to have to regroup, reload, keep this train rolling because Florida State, by all accounts, is on track to make that college football playoff this coming season. They'll definitely, in my opinion, be in the top 12 teams in the country. I don't think they have a problem getting there. But adding a veteran coach like Stockstill, so familiar with the program, knows the ins and outs. Like you said, he was a player there for such a long time. He's in the Florida State Hall of Fame. This is a guy who was a head coach for so long. He's got such great experience, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I think even if you look at his record, he did some of his best coaching in the last few years of his career. 2018, he won that Coach of the Year award. He's 4-6 in bowl games. 2021 and 2022 were two of those wins. He won two bowl games in 2021 and 2022. This is a guy who's been coaching at a very high level, a lot lately. So I think he's a big addition to this team, especially in the role where he doesn't have all of the weight of being a head coach anymore. He can be the most valuable, where, like you said, Florida State head coach, you're like Fortune 500 guy, got to delegate. Middle Tennessee head coach, probably not quite that big of a job, but still a pretty big job. And he's still doing a pretty good job. But now he's out of the main spotlight at Middle Tennessee State. He's able to use his talents to the best of his abilities. So I think he's going to be a huge asset to Florida State. And I think Mike Norvell is doing a really good job surrounding himself, veteran coaching experience, trying to get themselves more playoff, more championship caliber culture at Florida State.
Yeah, I've got 3 quick points to finish on. I think you hit on a great point there, Miles. I think one thing, let's give credit to Mike Norvell, because some of these head coaches, I'd argue all of them, they have big egos. So a lot of them are hesitant to bring on other successful head coaches on their program just because they feel like they're the smartest guy in the room. And that kind of ego at the head coach can really hurt a program. Credit to Mike Norvell for not having that ego, or at least pushing his ego to the side, bringing in another successful head coach. But I want to focus on what you emphasized there, talking about a change in the quarterback position. Talking about taking up a lot of Mike Norvell's time is going to be whoever's going to be the next signal caller for the Florida State Seminoles going forward. So again, Norvell pulled in a lot of different directions. The biggest of those directions is going to be working hand in hand with the quarterback. He needs another offensive guy to help do a lot of the lower level recruiting, analysis, film breakdown, whatever they're going to have, what they're going to have him do. If you look at his title right here, I love how kind of vague it is, right? The director of scouting for offensive analyst. I think that's not I don't think that's an accident. I think it's by design. You give him a title that vague because basically his job is going to be whatever needs to be done in terms of deep in the weeds offensive analysis for Florida State going forward. And again, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but this is what the smart programs do. I always look at what the great head coaches of all time, the smartest guys, if they're doing those things, there's a reason. They don't just do things to be dumb and just to be superfluous. They do things because it helps you win football games. That's why Nick Saban had his strategies. I look for other coaches to not copy, but emulate. And that's exactly what Norvell's doing here at Florida State. And I think because of that, Florida State, what we saw last season, that's not a one-time deal. I think they're going to be a top flight contender in the entire country for many years to come.